Now time to get to Rex Brandstatter's Senior Talk. That's brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. Hello, Rex.
Hi there, Molly. How are you today?
I'm all right.
Oh, what a great day it is to be here at Senior Talk, folks. If you look outside, if we didn't have the haze from the Canadian fires, it'd be a great sunny, clear, warm day, but we've got that. So let's all send them a postcard, tell them to put out their darn fires. How's that sound? I assume, I think I read they've got 53 fires burning out of control. I don't know how anybody could handle that, especially up there. If you've ever been up there, there's basically nobody north of 100 miles of their southern border, so to speak. I'm not trying to throw water on Winnipeg or any of those places, but it's the middle of wild out there, middle of wild country, back country, so they're going to burn for a long time, unfortunately, and unfortunately for all of us around the world who have to put up with that smoke. So, well, tell you what, it's Senior Talk Day, and welcome, and hello to all of you who have taken time out of your busy day to listen to Senior Talk. It's a great day to be with you here today, and a great day to be a senior. So hello, and thanks every one of you for taking time, for sure. I'll do my best to bring a lot of ideas that might be important and cover some things in your life or your friends or acquaintances that they just might strike an accord that maybe it could help you or one of those groups or people. So that's what we'll do. And we'll also talk a little history. I got a couple of things up my sleeve here. I need to get off my chest. We'll see for that. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 75-year-old real estate broker, and I just love to work and meet with seniors. And I work with lots and lots of seniors on the real estate deals. I work with the seniors themselves. Sometimes the seniors and their families sit down and meet with me. I work with the executors of estates. I work with the administrators of estates. Attorneys call me, bank trust departments call me. That's who I deal with. In the real estate business, there's nothing easy. Trust me, folks, there's nothing easy anymore about it. And I had an interesting call yesterday, and when I got done telling him what all he needed to do, he said, gee whiz, I don't know. I said, well, if we just go step by step, I'm here to help you, so that's what we're going to do. So at this point, while I cook up some things here, they're already cooked up here, why don't you sit back, grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can do. And by the way, I don't take calls during the program. Unless you want to talk Dodger baseball, we might take a call. No, we'll do that later on. But I have senior line for it, and that's at 319-330-5534. 330-5534. You could call that now and leave me a message, and I would call you back. Call me anytime with that, with any of your real estate ideas or issues or challenges, and I'll see if I can help you. Well, you know, I'm ready for some heat. I like it hot. So the other day when it was hot and sticky, that was right up my alley. Could get hotter as far as I'm concerned, and we need to let it get hot for a few months. And at our house we use ceiling fans a lot. Now, we haven't turned the air on yet. We use ceiling fans a lot, which is we always have. So we've got one in the dining area going, one in the living room going, and one in the bedroom going. And boy, that's about all you need until it gets really, really bad. So we think we're real sharp people by doing that, by the way. And it sure works for us. That's why we have more of them, but those are the ones we use for that, for sure. And it really, really does make a difference. Get that. You have to know what direction to get them going, clockwise or counterclockwise. So once you figure that out, I'll leave that to your own thinking here. Once you figure that out, you can really, really do a lot of cooling and or heating of nice air throughout your own home without turning on your air conditioning or your furnace as early. So, well, I saw some graduation photos for City High and West High. The only ones I saw. So my congratulations to all the graduates. Now your road starts, whether it's whatever your road is going to be, whether it's go get a job or go in the military or go on to college or trade school, whatever it is, congratulations and thumbs up to you. And so my question to you as seniors would be, do you remember your graduation? Yeah, you remember that. All right, it was a big deal in the whole family. My grandma and grandpa, I think, went there. We had ours in the field house, the old field house in Iowa City. And it's just a big deal. And if you think about it in today's world, well, high school, that's just a stepping stone, but it was more than that back when we were younger. It was high school diploma was the end of the trail for a lot of people, and they never planned to go any further than that. Some of them were hoping to make it to that night. And so it's a big deal, and I can see why it is, because it's a milestone for these kids, and more power to them. So I really hadn't thought about the ceremony for a long time. I just remember being there in the cap and gown deal, and I remember that after graduation, within a couple months, a lot of guys in my class got drafted, and a lot of them went to Vietnam. A couple didn't come home, but it was tumultuous times in the late 60s, and it's maybe not so much militarily tumultuous right now, but a lot of things going on around the world, of course, But my thumbs up and congratulations to all of the graduates. And, of course, now there was college graduations, 3 weeks ago to university. I remember that. I remember my dad, I asked my dad, you want to go to the graduation when I graduated from Iowa? He said, you damn right. He said, I want to go there early. I want to get a good seat. He says, I never get a good seat. My basketball tickets aren't all that great, so I plan to go there early and get if you will, a 50-yard line seat, again, in the old field house. And he says, I want to see what I paid for all these years, meaning my education. So my folks were there, and it was a big deal for sure. So congratulations. And now I say, onward for summer. And I'm going to ask you, for you seniors now, do you have big plans for the summer? Do you have big plans for the summer? How about a vacation? Or our neighbors decided they've never been to the Black Hills. They said, that doesn't sound like a very vacation-ish, but we haven't been to the Black Hills, so we'll take off and see some things and look up some things, and so they're going to go. And other friends of ours are heading down to Kansas City to see the Black Baseball Hall of Fame and see a couple Royals games while they're in town. And they said, first and foremost, we're going to go to some of those famous barbecue joints down there. Well, we have done that, and it's an easy trip down to KC with I-80 over to Des Moines and 35 South. It's the old you can't miss it, that is for sure. So, your vacation does not have to be a world tour or a 3-week cruise, and these little outings are a short time, I think, are pretty cool. And we even like day trips around Eastern Island. We really like those too. So, you really don't have to break the bank either. You just find a location, an event, and an attraction that you like, and go visit and just go do it. The overnight trips are fine. If it's just a one-day thing, you can travel a long ways in one day, see something, and come back the same day. That is a fact. So this summer is a good time to do that, and we're going to do that at our house. We've got plans for tomorrow night already and Friday night, and I got something up my sleeve for Saturday. Saturday I'm going to go to a car show. So it's just one thing that I do, and certainly you can come up with things that you like to do, and I think this is a great time of year to do that. For now until it gets cold, and we're not even going to talk about that. So, all right. Well, speaking of that, year senior, let me tell you where I'll be on Thursday night, the 12th. That'll be a week from tomorrow. At 7 o'clock, the Glenn Miller Orchestra will be in Coralville at the Performing Arts Center. Or you bet, right across the street from West Music. Now, Glenn Miller music is a little laid back, but in its day, 1930s and early 40s and wartime, and into the 50s, Glenn Miller was hot stuff. He was killed in an airplane crash in 1944, I think. And during World War II, he was in the Army Air Corps. And so that was the end of Glenn Miller, but his music lives on to this day. And this is I think there's a couple different groups that travel the country. And I think this is the same group that's been to Coralville a couple times before. But they're well worth listening to. And while I'm sitting there, I'm thinking of the albums my folks used to play. They play all these albums. They had Glenn Miller. My brother and I'd be looking for something to play, and then we'd have Glenn Miller and Perry Como, things like that. So if you want to go there, you can get online and get yourself some tickets. Go to Coralville.org, and fish around on there, or go to Coralville. I guess I don't know. I go to CoralvillePerformingArtsCenter.org or something like that, and get yourself some tickets and go listen to the Glenn Miller Orchestra. You have a good time, especially as seniors. Trust me, folks, 99% of the people will be seniors there for sure. Well, a senior man, he said, in the presence of his wife, she bought a new car. He was there with her, and they were just looking around, and she just decided, I want that one, and bought it. And so that's what happened. So I thought that was a pretty good story, that she bought a car. And then I was talking to a guy last week, and he said, I said, what are you driving these days? You still got an old car? He said, I've got 4 old cars now. And I sold them an acreage outside of town, and they've got a shop, things like that. He said, matter of fact, I got a car today. And this was in the evening last week. So he showed me a picture of his new car today, and he says, my wife was a little surprised that I bought this model and this make, but he said, nobody in town's got one. So he said, the other autos I have, everybody, a lot of people have one and seen them and been in them and might own one. But he said, this one nobody has. So he showed me a picture. He's all excited. So you see, seniors are out there wheeling and dealing and doing things. So don't give up the ship, folks. If you think you're too old to get a new car, you're not. Just find one you want. And if you can hack it, why, go do it. Why not? So, well, a senior lady advises that she is the POA, which means power of attorney. That she is the power of attorney for her good friend. He passed away a month ago, and now she asked me, what is my role now as a POA? And I said, your role is none. Nothing. You are out of business. Your role as a power of attorney is kaput. And now it will switch over to if that man had a will. You could be nominated, appointed as the executor. I don't know if he had talked to you about it or not. I don't know. You may not be the one he chose to be the executor. And I said, let's hope there is a will. If he had a power of attorney, more than likely he had a will. So if there is no will, of course, then the courts will decide where things go. And you could also then be appointed the administrator of that, which is close to being I'm not the attorney here, but close to having the powers of an executor, for sure. If you had that level of trust between you and the friend that passed away, if there was a level of trust there, that if he asked you to do one of those and you nonchalantly one day said yes, then they're more than likely you might be the executor of the estate. So if not, if you're done, your role is over, and he did not appoint you the executor, then my suggestion is he might have made someone the executor who was not as close to him as you are. Maybe you knew more about his daily life and daily routines and habits and likes and dislikes. And maybe the executor is his friend from Ohio or his daughter in Florida who hadn't been around for 25, 30 years, and they don't really know those things. So you could become a valuable asset. When I mean valuable, I mean to that person, the executor. Probably not much money in for you. You'd be doing out of the fact that you like the person who's gone. You could help them with things that you know about the person who's gone. Maybe it's their uncle or their dad or something like that. And they just don't. They knew him, but they didn't know him. How's that sound? So that's the story. So the power of attorney. If you're a power of attorney for somebody, and then that person passes away, you are out of business. So, let me ask you a question straight up. Are you a never retire person? Is that you? That's it, Rex. I'm never going out. It's feet first. It's my way, the highway. I'm not going anywhere. Well, more power to you. That's your call. If you can do it, well, keep doing it, and it makes and it makes sense. You know, you're not in the way of progress. It's your company because you're the fuddy, stodgy guy that has the job that about 9 people would like to have, and you're hanging on to it, and you're not even doing the job you're supposed to do, but you're hanging on to that job. Because, by God, that's your job, and I've been here since 1957, and nobody's going to run me out just because I'm 83 years old. Well, if that's the case and you're good at it and you can handle it, well, hey, more power to you. But if you're just a stumbling block, then you need to come to the realization that maybe you can move on to something else. Maybe something else in the same company. You never know. Who knows? Well, if you enjoy what you do, why stop? That's kind of my thing. I enjoy what I do. I get frustrated many times on different things in the real estate business, but we all do. That's the nature of business. That's the nature of any business. So why would that be anything? So if you have the ability, the knowledge, and the want, and the health to continue, have at it. Why throw in the towel just because, quote, you're 65 or, quote, you're 70 years old? Now, there are some things that you can't do in certain occupations. I think when you're 65, you have to retire if you're a police officer, certain things like that. But you're already willing and able, and your job doesn't have rules that say you have to retire, and you want to keep going, keep going. You have to look at yourself when you go to the local grocery store, the big chain grocery store, Hy-Vee, for example. They have a lot of seniors working there, and maybe, I don't know, they might have to work. You never know. I don't ask. You might have to work. They're there maybe because they might have $10 million in the bank, but they want something to do. That makes sense, just as much sense as if you have to work, only you don't really have to work, that type of thing. But it's good for your system. It's good for your health. It's good for your mental capabilities and abilities, by to keeping busy. Even if you work 3 mornings a week or 3 afternoons. I have a friend and he works for a grocery store and he cleans up the parking lot. That's his job. And trust me, folks, he's educated well beyond that job. But he doesn't care. He just said, "Give me a job. I want something to do. Give me your crappiest job." Is probably what he said. So he picks up the parking lot and stuff in the aisles and straightens things up. That's what he does. He's happy to do it. He's all excited about it. Been doing it for 4 or 5 years, and he loves it because he's got something to do, a place to go. He feels like, he's contributing, and they think he is too. So he said, they keep giving me a paycheck, haven't fired me yet. So the reason they won't fire him because as seniors, we have what they want. We have a work ethic. We know how to get up in the morning. We know how to be there. We know how to be there every day of the week. We know how to do our job. Even there's a little extra. We just do it because we're there. That's why they like seniors. That is for sure. All right. So if you are a never retire person, more power to you. As long as you're not creating a bottleneck that's kind of slowing down your company and or the other employees who could take your job, and maybe you could go see your company about your HR or the boss about, I've been at this job since 1965. Maybe it's time for somebody else to do this with the newfangled computers and to keep up to date, stuff like that. Any chance of me working here and doing something else? Well, Bob, we haven't just come to you yet, but we understand, and we've been kind of taking kind of the slow boat here because you have been here so long. In all honesty, Bob, for the company, we've got some new things we'd like to do, and if we install this new IT system, quite frankly, we don't even think you'd want to even continue here. So why don't we cook something up for you, or why don't we come to a mutual agreement here? That's what has to happen, folks. That's the natural progression of things, and don't fight it. Go with it and make the most of it. And good luck to you for sure. So, for many of us, doing something like that, it's having a purpose like that is beneficial for mental health. I mean, it's got something to do. Nope, I can't be goofing around today. I work next 3 afternoons. I work wherever it is you work, and because you're part of that experience of that company. So more power to you. So, retirement facts. One of my biggest hurdles in being a senior is getting older. I mean, that's par for the course, but I'm saddened to always learn of fellow seniors who are dealing with certain health issues, and I'm not going to go into the people's names. I never do that, but some of the things that my friends are, my dad used to say, "There's no gold in the golden years," and health challenges extend to the family. So if someone in your family's got a health, a cancer issue, any of the issues you can think of, they're not good, and so the person who has that is of course in big trouble. But the family, the support family, is also feeling it. Not from the actual personal affliction, but dealing with that person and the family things, and however big or small the family may be. That's the hard part. The health challenges extend to the families, so now the whole family's got problems. So my heart is out to you, and my hope is out that do the best you can while you can. That's just one of the things we have to do, I guess. So. I would tell you this, too. This is kind of fun, I think. Just when you thought the local vehicular traffic couldn't get any more cloggy or challenging, comes the latest updates on things around town. There's a big 5th Street project in Coral, which has disrupted a lot of people. A lot of my friends are parked along in there, and now they can't. They've been told to get out. They got to park down the street, and you think, well, that's not so bad. And then you go to Hy-Vee and come back with 2 stacks of groceries. Now that's a challenge, folks. And that's the challenge. But that's what it is, because we all know the end game is going to be a fancy street or whatever it's going to be, new sidewalk, whatever we're doing. We all know we're going to get there, but it's the gauntlet between here and there. That's the hard part. Well, I got a little just you thought the vehicular traffic comes this article this week. It's on track. It's on. They're not ready to dig a hole or anything like that yet, but the $30 million replacement of Iowa City's Burlington Street Bridge is expected in 28 or 29. So it's down the road. This is only 2025. But this thing isn't going to go away, and the problem is this. Iowa City's Burlington Street Bridge, which is a key piece of the infrastructure that connects the east side and west side of downtown and the University of Iowa, is crossed by about 19,000 vehicles a day. That's going east and westbound. That's a lot of traffic. But the bridges, there are two of them, one traveling east and one west, are deteriorating. They were identified in 2021 as being in poor condition and structurally deficient. So there you go. Every time you drive by there, they're in poor condition and structurally deficient. What could go wrong? Well, last fall, Iowa City hired a consultant and for $1.8 million, and they began the process to replace the bridge, meaning studies and things like that. They did hire the biologist to go down there and biosurvey down into the river and looking for to see if they could find any threatened and endangered species. To me, they'd find the threatened species would be good-sized walleyes. People are always looking for those. So I don't know what they found. They'll have a report. This is interesting. This is extremely interesting. So it's on the way. $30 million, blah, blah, blah. By the time it gets there, it'll be $50 million. Bet you $20 million. By the time they get there, it'll be $50 million. The existing Burlington Street bridge structure, which includes two bridges, eastbound, westbound, and a dam, is owned by three different public entities. What could go wrong? What could slow a project down more than that, you ask? The existing Burlington Street Bridge, two bridges and a dam. The dam, it was built in 1906. By the way, the Corville Dam out there was built in 1844. So hardy har. Now, the eastbound bridge, you're downtown and want to go west to the stadium. That was built in the eastbound bridge you're at the stadium, you want to go downtown. That was built in 1915 and restored in 1986. And that's owned by the city of Iowa City. So the city owns the eastbound bridge. And the westbound bridge is owned by the Iowa DOT. So if you're downtown and want to go to Kinnick Stadium, that's built in 1969. It's owned by the DOT. So that's the one that's probably in the best shape. So Iowa City says it plans to work with the university and the DOT on the project, all right? The spiral pedestrian ramp at overpass at Riverside Drive in Highway 6 will also be thoroughly examined. It's not compliant with ADA, of course not, all right? Some of the project's wants and secondary considerations, including removal of the Burlington Street Dam to offer more recreation opportunities, are on the table. So wait a minute. Now, why would they take that dam out of there? Well, it was a hydro dam when it was built. Now it's not hydro. It does create a pool upstream. Now, that's a navigable river, so they'd have the big time work with the DNR. What could go wrong? Now, I don't know the benefits yet of taking the dam out. I really don't. Fishing or canoeing, that doesn't seem like a feasible reason to take out something that's worked since 1906, we'll say. So we're going to see what happens. So that's a big deal. So imagine the traffic on Burlington Street when they, God, I can't even imagine, when they take out the Burlington Street Bridge. You're going to want to buy the rights to toll a toll gate on Iowa Avenue and Benton Street Bridge for a long time. Boy, that'd be, think about the police and the ambulances and the traffic. And good luck. They'd have to switch over to one bridge and make that two-lane. They got all there, folks. You don't need me telling you all stuff. I just think, incidentally, that it's gonna happen. It's not like a pipe dream. It's going to happen. Well, let me ask you another question. Do you tailgate at the dental lot at the university? Do you tailgate in the dental school lot for football games? Well, you better go take a drive past there because they're going to build another giant parking ramp there. And I'm not really sure you'll like what you're going to see because they got a great big cyclone fence around most of it. They had a cyclone fence around a lot of it, and they were waiting for after university graduation at Carver Hawkeye Arena to put up the rest. So take a drive past there. You're going to scratch your head. Where are we going to tailgate? Well, they had to start somewhere, so they started this summer. So that's between you and the university where you park. I don't know. I can't answer that, but I'm going to tell you, lots and lots of people park. It's a great tailgate parking lot. A lot of people in there. It's just a mob scene over there before football games and after. It's a great place, and now it's going to be off target. And when they get there, then the new parking ramp, I don't know how much it's going to cover, but for a while it's going to cover the whole thing because they got construction equipment, cement truck coming and going. It's going to be a big, huge, huge deal. I don't know how much will be left, but folks, it will never be the same. Isn't that the truth? Never be the same. I was talking to a guy today this morning. And they said, well, we'd like to go downtown. The students are going, let's go downtown. So we're going to do that. We're going to go downtown tomorrow evening. You bet. The old people from going to go downtown and have a root beer somewhere. You bet. So I said, well, yeah, we'll meet you downtown. Why don't we go downtown a little early? We'll meet you at the lunch counter at Kresge's. Do you remember the lunch counter at Kresge's? I remember that those the stools, I'm going to say they had 10 or 12 stools. Short little stools. Those stools weren't more than 2.5 feet, if that, I don't know, off the floor. And then the if you will, the ladies who worked at the lunch counter were, down, kind of down in a pit. So they were kind of a little bit lower, so it made them serving it pretty handy. And a lot of businessmen ate lunch in there. That one and Lubin's, and I don't remember if there was one at Woolworths or not around the corner on Clinton Street. I don't recall. I was in the Woolworths store a million times as a kid, always looking for baseball cards, stuff like that. I don't remember that lunch counter. I don't think they did. But Kresge's had a great lunch counter, Lubin's, as did, of course, up on the north side. Well, downtown there was Fort Hopkins, right straight crossing Black Hawk Mini Park. That's where Fort Hopkins was, and they had a 3-decker hamburger called the Stuffy. So as kids, we went in there and we ordered Stuffy, which I think was like 39 cents, which is way out of our budget, but that's what it was. Pearson's up on the north side of town up there, near north side. Wow, they had a great lunch counter. So I just jokingly said, see you at the lunch counter, and then I got thinking, boy, the Kresge's, they had the best hamburgers in there ever. And, of course, Pearson's, they're famous for the egg salad sandwiches. Folks, if you missed all those things, you have to sit down and think about all the things that we thought were so smart, but all those things, all the good things are gone. There were so many neat things to do downtown that now that they're gone, we think about them. Well, think about your in your hometown. Maybe they're a great place to go for lunch. All the lunch counters. Sometimes they're called. I think they called a lunch counter. All the people that worked there. My good friend of mine, high school classmate of mine, his mom worked at the lunch counter at Kresge's, and she knew who I was. And later on, her son and myself and a bunch of other guys, we ran around together while we're going to university. So she knew who I was from back in the day when I would I didn't hang around at Kresge, but we went there a lot when we were kids. So good for her. Good for them. So I got a call the other day from a guy who said, I ask you a question. All right. He said, well, I'm from a small town not far from Iowa City, and he said my parents are gone, and he said they're buried in the small town cemetery there, and he said they have 2 cemetery lots left. They had 4, so mom and dad are buried right there next to each other. There's 2 of them on one side or the other. I don't. Anyhow, I said, what do we do with them? He says, I'm not going to be buried there. I have lots around here, and my sister lives out of state. She's not going to be buried there. What do we do with those 2 lots? I said, what do you mean, what do you do? You sell them. He said, well, I called the city, and they said, yeah, you can sell them. Here's what you have to do. And he said, they gave me a list of things to do. I said, yeah. He said, well, I have to go come up with they have the deed. They'll give me a deed if I give them the money. They don't particularly buy them. If I want to give them to them, the stuff like that. I said, sell them. They're valuable. So I said, call the number one. I said, call whoever owns the cemetery. Well, the city owns the cemetery, and they won't buy them. I said, all right, step 2, you got that out of your hair now. You can donate them to the city. You're going to inherit them, right? Yes. I said, well, you don't have any money interest in them. Give them to the city. Or try Rex's plan. Rex's handy-dandy plan for selling the lots. And this is a good plan. This has worked a million times. It's not the greatest money-making scheme, which I'm always looking for. No, not anymore. I don't care. But you call your local funeral home. And you call your local funeral home and say, hi, I'm Joe Schmo. I'm Rex Brandstatter, and I have in the Big Oaks Cemetery, I have 2 or 4 cemetery plots. Would you be interested in buying them? Or do you know someone looking for cemetery lots in the Big Oaks Cemetery? And about 90% of the times they do. They'll either buy them or say, no, we won't buy them, but we know Joe Schmo and his wife have been in here 4 times. We're supposed to keep an eye out for a couple lots right next to each other, or 4 lots right next to each other. So there you go. I caution you that if you have two, don't sell one. You'll end up with one. They're a little harder to sell. Let them, the buyer, make them a deal so they take two. If they only use one, then they have to sell them out of your hair. Now, if you sell them, then you have to come up with a deed. You have, just like a deed to a house. You sell your house, you got to get them a deed. Well, you want to go to the city. You got to meet with the city because they'll give you a deed that you should have for yours. Then you could, with your new people, go to the city, have them buy it from you, and go to the city. The city will give them a deed. Where you go. Now, here's the deal. If you and your three brothers inherited those lots, you and your all three brothers have to sign the deed. Just like if you and your three brothers own an eightplex and you all decided to own the eightplex, all three brothers would have to sign the deed unless you have moved into a legal setup like an LLC or a corporation owns them. If you and your three brothers own them, all four of you all have to sign the deed. So if you're going to sell even two cemetery lots, you and this man, in his case, he and his sister both have to sign the deed. Sounds like huge hurdles, but I don't deal with cemetery plots every day for sure, but I do know the process thereof. So that's what he's into now. I said, just come down here, call me, come down here, sit down, bring me their list of things like that. We'll walk through it. All right. And about a half hour later, I got a call from a gentleman, true story. He said, we're thinking about here, told me where his street house was. Yeah, I know all about your house in Coralville, of course. And he said, we want to buy part of the lot behind us. I said, oh, might work, might not work. He said, well, we went to the city, and they said it would work, but we have to do some things. And they said to call somebody in the real estate business who might know these things. And so we stopped at the front desk at City Hall, and they said, call Rex. Sometimes it's a good deal, sometimes it's not. This is not a bad deal. It's just kind of trying to help them out. How's that sound? So I said, what you have to do is, does the man want to sell part of the back end of his land? Yes, he does. Are you sure? Yeah. You're shaking hands type of thing? Yes, it's all agreed. Price and everything. I said, okay. What you have to do in order to get that, in order for him to sell it, he has to come up with a legal description. And the man said, well, really, I don't know what that is. I said, well, going to have to employ a surveyor. And the surveyor is going to have to go out there, do all the records at the courthouse and check out, make sure that the seller owns what he says he owns. Make sure you own what you said you own as contiguous, because he can sell this to a contiguous, but he can't sell it to anybody else because then there's no access to it. So it's kind of a low-end deal. I don't know what the costs are, and I don't care. None of my business. So the surveyor will come out and do a survey and put pins in there and flags, and they'll know what you're buying. You'll know what you're buying. Not like the old, we have to vote for it and then see what's in it. You get to see what you're doing. And then from that legal description, you probably, for something like this, you probably do not need an abstract. You can add that. He's going to sell you, let's just go for it. He's going to sell you the north 100 feet of Lot G in Coralville Heights, all right, Part 4. He's going to say the north. So you have it surveyed, and the survey will show that that is the north 100 feet of Lot G in Coralville Heights. You can then buy that from him. He will give you a deed, a warranty deed for that is what you want. Now, a little issue. Does the man who owns it now, does he have a mortgage on his property? I don't know, he said. I said, you better find out, because if he's got a mortgage, the mortgagee, meaning the bank, will not let him sell off because now you're selling off part of the property that they own. Whoa, could be a big problem. So if he's got a mortgage, he can't sell it off. So I said, boy, okay. I said, so be careful here. Don't hire the surveyor till you find out if the guy can sell it off. So he's checking on that right now to see if the guy has a mortgage. Because you see, the bank has a mortgage on Lot G, including this whole big backyard, and now the guy who lives there wants to sell part of the backyard, and the bank says, well, baloney, that we own that. If we ever have to foreclose, not that they would, we have to foreclose, we want all of that, not everything except the north 100 feet or 80 feet. We get the whole thing. We already have a mortgage on it. You can't, matter of fact, you can't sell it. Oh, that could cause a little rift in the thing. All right, so that's what's going to happen. They're working all that right now. So see how complicated that got just because he wanted to buy a little piece in the back, and now in certain subdivisions. This is older stuff. This is 1920s era subdivision. Now, if you are in the same predicament in a newer subdivision, you could be in a subdivision that part of your rules say you cannot subdivide a lot. Well, we've got an extra 10 feet back there. The neighbor, he's mowing it. We'd like to sell it to him. Well, you might not be able to because your covenants and the subdivision rules that were submitted by the city as part of the development of your property most likely say a lot cannot be subdivided. Whoa. So you better check on that. Just because the neighbor's mowing it and the neighbor said, well, that back 60 feet, our kids play down there. You don't use it. Why don't I'll buy it from you for $3,000. All right, that sounds good to me. A, you might not be able to due to the rules of your subdivision. B, you might not be able to do because the bank has a mortgage on it. And C, all the above. Okay? So be careful. Just because you want to sell the back because you don't use it. We'd like to buy the lot next to us. Is what we'd like to buy that vacant lot next to us. Well, it's a platted lot. It's an official lot. Call the people who own it and say, I'd like to buy that lot. Well, we bought that. We were intended to build a house, and we're not going to do it. What's the lot worth? Now, you don't know. Well, I don't know. One sold up the street there for $30,000 5 years ago. And, okay, well, I don't know what it's worth either. Who are you going to call? Well, that's when you call your handy-dandy real estate expert. That wouldn't be me, an expert, but you call your handy-dandy real estate broker or real estate friend and have them do a search, a comparable sales search on what lots in your area have sold for in the last couple of years. That's what it takes. That's how you determine what they might take. And then you say, well, I looked it up, and lots roughly been selling for $30,000 to $32,500. All right. Tell you what, we'll sell it to you for $29,000. You're our friend, blah, blah, blah. $25,000. Well, we'll give you $25,000. That's when you start to negotiate on prices. It's just like anything else. So with all these things, folks, that's kind of the story here. We're selling the so we're selling cemetery lots and part of your backyard here today, but those are things that come up. Those are things. These are real, true life stories. I don't tell you anything else here on Senior Talk except my age, which is a real life story at 75. But we're still going, Speaking of that, now we're all still going, and we all think we're hot stuff, and we're feeling good and doing that. But we all know an accident could happen this afternoon. Something could happen tomorrow. We could walk out in front of a runaway cement truck. Anything could happen to us. We don't know. So none of us ever know about our tenure right here on planet Earth. We don't know. We don't have a clue. Good Lord put us here, and the good Lord will take us away whenever He feels like it. All right. No guarantees were ever granted to any of us except death and taxes. Only two guarantees we were given. So, knowing all that, and knowing that as soon as we're headed down that back stretch, I advise the following mindset. And that is to do all you can while you can. Do whatever you want to do, whatever you can do while you can do it. That's just as simple as it sounds. And then maybe next week, if I remember, I'll tell you about a little road trip my wife and I took last week that had a lot of fun doing. It was just a 3/4 a day trip. And we didn't even leave Eastern Iowa. We had a lot of fun, laughed, saw a lot of things. Saw something from back in the 1960s that I'd almost forgotten about. That I actually even stayed there, ate there, slept there, all the above, had fun there. Forgot all about it until I drove past it, made a U-turn, and went back and said, that's the place that I recall. So I want you to think about in your mindset is get out and get out around if you can, whatever that means. If you can only walk to the corner, go do it. If you're confined, open the window and look out the window, whatever it might take. If you're able, get out and go for a walk, ride a bike, go for a drive. This is a great place to be. We only get to go once around. Let's do it for fun. So do all you can while you can. And folks, this is Rex Brandstatter from Senior Talk. Thank you to each and every one of you who have served. I lost a classmate this week. He served in Air Force in Vietnam. My friend Willie Nelson from Oxford passed away. So Willie, we'll see you later, buddy, someday. That's the story. So thanks all for veterans and all you folks in the American Legions and the VFWs around the listening area. My salute to each and every one of you. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So long.
Your life is always changing, and a lot of things can affect